How can charitable organizations build a sustained culture of philanthropy? Jim Langley, president of Langley Innovations, says, "Speak with your donors and listen to what they have to share." In this video series, Jim shares decades of expertise and his commitment to helping institutions develop the most effective strategies to build broader and more lasting communities of support. If you're a fundraiser, tune in now. Every video with Jim is a masterclass. Hello, friends. Every video with Jim is a masterclass indeed. I'm Susan Axelrod, hosting this three-part video series with Jim. It has been extraordinary to have a conversation about a simple construct and simple things that you can do if you are a fundraiser, a board member, a nonprofit leader, to really begin to capture and regain connection with your donors. I am delighted to bring Jim back into the studio with us. Hello, Jim. Good to see you.
So good to see you, Susan. It's a great pleasure to be with you.
It's really been quite a conversation. This conversation started with a simple kind of casual interview that we did. I invited you when I saw that you were quoted in the New York Times, and I wanted to have a conversation about that, as we have discussed earlier in this series. But since we've been having this conversation about really donor connection as humans, I really have felt quite a deepness. And even though I follow you, I've been learning from you for years, I feel such a rich opportunity for myself as a coach, a consultant, a donor myself, a person who cares about purpose and the fabric of our society today. So I want to really thank you for your ability to synthesize, and as you have said in this series, to crystallize these constructs that have come from your decades of experience. And we'll get started today.
Thank you so much, Susan. There is a goodness in us. It is universal. I think if we understand these desires, we feed them, we will find far more satisfying careers, and we will advance the purposes that we hold dear.
Believe in something, to belong to something. These are the ideas, the deep desires that we have spoken about so far. And I wanted to just invite you to take a moment, not to recap everything. People can watch the two videos, the part one and part two. But I want to ask you, before we get into the third part today, what has come up for you about our discussion?
Well, it's so helpful to have someone with fresh eyes come into the discussion. And indeed, some of your synthesis and crystallization has been very helpful to me. You've summarized points that I think are very important for our field to know. But I've also felt, as I'm expressing it with you through your guidance, Susan, that I am speaking to something that's very important, that's very helpful. I feel very much in the moment and feel as if not that it's about me, but that I am a vehicle. The body of experience I've acquired, what I've been allowed to see and learn is a vehicle. And I'm feeling that as I share it with people, it's incredibly meaningful for me. It seems to be the summary of what I've been about for so long, and it seems to be coming together with greater clarity for me than ever before.
I mean, I'm smiling a bit. I looked back at my notes because in our other video, you talked about the wisdom of a 21-year-old who said how we ourselves will be impacted
Yeah.
while we are impacting another.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
said to you then, oh, I wonder what Gen Zer said that. And you said it was Ben Franklin. And you just literally spoke out that thesis from hundreds of years ago, that as you gift out, give, share, I call it your wisdom that you have gleaned and gained, you're having a reciprocal
Yes.
experience yourself, aren't you?
It's profound. I am. So I am experiencing exactly what I was sharing, right? I feel the better for it. I feel as if I'm learning. And then I feel this intergenerational connection, which I think philanthropy has been very much about. That what we call progress, social progress, is each generation trying to leave the next generation at least as much as it inherited from the previous generation, and sometimes more. So if we are able to do that from generation to generation, absorb the knowledge from previous generations, refine it, make it more relevant to current and future generations, we create this remarkable chain of social progress over generations, over hundreds of years.
I mean, surely we know that organized philanthropy has been around that long. And we wonder, part of what we're doing here today is that the trajectory doesn't really look that good, Jim. You've told
Mm.
us, I even wrote it down. You said that, I have multiple pages of notes over here. You said at one point, one in, or 4 out of 5 donors,
Yeah,
that we're really losing people quite quickly. And so these ideas that you actually give people, that your institution, your organization gives your donors something to believe in, to
yes,
believe in. You use the word faith, that would be faith with a small f,
yeah,
something to believe in, and then something to belong to. We talked about community,
yes,
community, what is more needed today. So today we're going to get into the last part of this framework. And I want to just bring this up and show this beautiful graphic, which is simple and easy to remember, a simple guide for a fundraiser, a planned giving officer, but most especially, Jim, a nonprofit leader, a university president, a hospital CEO, an agency executive director. And I want to encourage you to ask yourself simple questions. What can I do about these deep desires that I'm learning our donors have? So let's
yes,
get into part 3 now, Jim, and that is to better something, to improve something. A deep desire that a donor has is to better something. What do you want to say about this?
well, let's all think about that, and it should resonate with us. I think these are universal human desires, not just donor desires. But let's reflect on what we want for our life, and that is that somehow something that we learned, we did, we acquired, was useful, was helpful, that there is meaning in our being on this planet, not because we celebrate ourselves, but because we made a difference in the life of at least one other person. That is validation that we have made a difference. So I think this is carried across human nature. We may go through a period where we're more self-absorbed, but once we achieve a level of security and a level of maturity, we realize that that's not satisfying to be focused on ourselves, and we start asking, why are we here? And ultimately, the answer to that question of why are we here is realized not in just a sort of philosophical rumination, but when we see the opportunity to transfer something that we learned, we acquired, something that was given to us, that we are then able to hand to someone else who finds it useful and helpful. So it's incredibly satisfying, as many people know, to teach, to learn first, and then to have learned enough to teach and to say, oh, now I've been able to transfer knowledge or experience to another person. And I think maybe there's an even deeper satisfaction than to transfer to others, whatever it is we've acquired. I think and I don't want to get too abstract here, but I think the whole paradigm of how we talk about philanthropy of giving is wrong, that it's really about sharing. And that in the giving process, we get so much out of it. And I don't mean just sort of, oh, the thrill of giving is we've shared something. Something has been given to us, and we know it, and we're grateful for it. And then it's immensely satisfying to turn around and share that with other people. I don't think it's about giving. I don't think we should ever ask anybody to give. I think we should talk about sharing. As you give, so will you be given, right? You will get so much out of this if we do it right. So once we start to realize that this is ultimately that the joy in human existence comes from the sharing, then we see these wonderful, beautiful philanthropic stories and paradigms. And I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, Susan, because I know you lost your husband recently, and I know that became the impetus then for you doing something around for Jewish women and Jewish girls, right? So
Yes.
here's what I find. I find this deeply beautiful, and I find you an example of it, is that people out of pain, out of loss, resolve that this should not happen to other people. So they take the very loss, the deficits that life hands them, and say, out of that wound, as one writer put it, becomes the womb of creativity. So
Mm,
something is reborn from the womb to the womb. And what you then do is take the pain and loss that you experience and give a gift to those who you hope will best understand it. And for people who you feel you can speak to and speak for. This is magnified millions of times in the story of philanthropy of loss. So then being turned into a greater societal gain and gain being turned into a greater societal gain. So I was talking to one gentleman years ago and I was sharing my philosophy. He said, well, I don't feel as if, I lost anything. And I said, well, to whom are you giving? Who are you most proud of giving to? What has been most satisfying? And he said, well, I love to help intellectually challenged children. I said, why? He said, because I'm so grateful for the mind I was given. I said, well, you see, you
yes.
see, you are wise enough to realize not everyone gets that gift, and you were given a wonderful gift. And then you have the conscience to realize, oh, I'm given a gift not for my glorification, not for my ego boosting. I was given a gift so that I would be a vehicle for transferring that gift, right? So this is what I love is when anytime we're given something, we turn around and say, I want to share this joy with other people. So the dividing line, if you're trying to determine who is philanthropic and who isn't, I have a simple test for you. Say to the person, what are you grateful for? To whom or to what are you grateful? If the person can't come up with an answer, stop trying to raise money from them. If it's
Ah,
all about them, if they insist they're the self-made person, which is the most absurd phrase in human experience, self-made, if they insist that that be the case, don't try to raise money. But watch. Anybody who gives money is grateful to someone or something, to God, to country, to teacher, to something. And it's out of that, oh my goodness, I've been given a gift.
mm,
And selfish people, and sometimes, if I could pick on some celebrities, think they were given beauty or a shapely body or a pleasant face for their gratification, when it's such a good opportunity to use those attributes to draw attention to a cause or purpose, like Paul Newman did, a man with incredibly beautiful features that translated well to film, said, I was lucky to be given these features, and started a whole chain of charitable and philanthropic enterprise. He knew and he resolved, I'm not going to use this for my own ego boosting, but I've been given a gift, now let me use it. And so he used his celebrity, his attractiveness, to draw attention to the causes that he cared about. Wonderful example. So, and then if we listen to various religious leaders about where joy in life comes from, they'll say it's about sharing, about getting outside of yourself,
mhm.
of finding a way to help. But I don't like help, I like share. So share something you have, and you will get so much back from it, including the psychic benefit of using the attributes and the gifts you've been given to help others. And we've all been given a gift of some shape or means. So it could be positive, Susan, I know I've been given something, I resolve to share it, or it could be this, I know what this pain feels like, I know what this loss feels like, and I resolve to minimize that, if not reduce that altogether for others. These are the two powerful forces of philanthropy. And isn't it a beautiful thing? Now, then take that and say, how well do organizations seize on that and put that to its best use in this transactional, dull, mechanical fundraising?
Something is coming up for me that I would like to discuss. I
Please.
am really the perfect example of that. My gift in memory of my husband, it was so deeply meaningful for me. But to the point of this conversation, my person, the organization, the CEO of the organization used my money, my gift. It happened to be, money that I gave to design and publish a book in a topic that was important to my husband, Jewish liturgy and prayer, that was relevant, and then B was used to improve the user's experience of praying in Jewish prayer. So the idea to better something, that people want to know that they're involved with bettering something, improving something, making a difference. I know this book will help. In this case, this is just one tiny example that happens to be mine, but it's exactly in your thesis. I know this book will help people pray the Jewish liturgy in a more conscious, deeper, and more purposeful way for themselves. That's
Beautiful.
it, right?
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's it. And so then think about, why do we miss this? When this is so present, when this is so persistent, when this is the power of philanthropy itself, why do so many organizations miss it and fail to feed it, fail to nurture it, and therefore wonder why they don't raise more money? Well, you see, you've approached it all wrong. When you get to the why of giving, when you listen for the why, you and I have always talked the power of listening, but we're listening for the why. What did life teach you? And then recently, Susan, as a validation of everything I've learned over my career, Bank of America has done another study. It's done annually for the last few years. In this case, why do affluent people give? What's the first band, the first hierarchy of reasons for giving? Values. Transfer. They don't say that, but that's what philanthropy is. Transfer values. You're just speaking about Jewish values held by your husband, which you shared, which you then want to take his loss and turn into a gain for those who share those values. It's so beautiful. And it happens over and over and over again in philanthropy. We don't capture it in our storytelling. We don't capture it in our fundraising literature. We don't let donors tell these stories to each other so that they feel in community. But you see, it is all about this last point here about bettering from a point of where we are in life. What do I have? What do I learn? What did I learn painfully? What do I do with that knowledge? And here's this wonderful means of expression called philanthropy that I feel has been so sub-optimized by such kind of sometimes obvious, if not crass, kinds of approaches to fundraising. Oh, we have needs, we have wants, as opposed to, oh, can we be the vehicle to take what life has taught you and to transfer it to others? And Susan, there's never a more pregnant time than the one we're in, notwithstanding the struggles that many nonprofits have and the discouraging trends notwithstanding. And that is these baby boomers aging and will be dispersing of estates in the next 10 or 15 years, I think largely in the next 10 years, right? And we send them instruments about how to use a planned give. Don't you?
I know.
And you go,
I
oh
know.
my
And so the phrase that you read is about how we do good work, about
ah,
our good work. And I'm listening to you, and I wrote down in quotation marks, you've done good work, to the donor. Like
Yes,
you've done good work here.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, Susan, when people saw me, even when I was young, and it was when I was young, I was a vice president when I was 37 for the first time, and I had a baby face, and people didn't know I was a vice president. I was like the Doogie Howser of vice president. But people who watched me said, Jim, there's something very parental about the way you raise money. Well, it was affirming. It was always, oh, look what you have done. Can we talk about how to transfer that wisdom, that knowledge, that passion, that caring, whatever it is that I saw in people? And I was so moved by it. I didn't see that growing up. I didn't experience a lot of beauty in human nature. No condemnation of anyone. It was just sort of being in a very dysfunctional environment. And so I was so appreciative of the good, the caring, the love in people that I discovered. I started to see the best in human nature as I became a fundraiser. And that's what I was trying to reinforce is, oh, look what you have. Look at this gift, this wisdom, this insight, this passion, this experience that you have. And I'd ask people, how did you acquire it? Hard work, pain, difficulty. Can we talk about transferring that? You see, that's making something better. It's taking something that could be limited to your life, and like the pebble in the pond, create this ripple effect, and it can go on. Who knows the lasting impact of that gift you made about Jewish liturgy? Who knows in which heart, in which soul that will land 50 years from now?
Oh my gosh, I literally have chills when you say that, Jim. That, and I want to share a specific example of how this is applied because I want our listeners to hear examples. That was one example. When I was a fundraiser, I was working with a community hospital, and one of the top corporate there was a big, massive corporation in that community. One of the top executives retired and died within months of his retirement.
Mm.
They were big donors to the hospital. I knew them and I met up with his wife in grieving, exactly as you said, the loss and so on. Long story short, he was in charge of all the giving and the money. It was a little generational, they were much older. This goes back many, many years, 30 years. And at that time, they were already older. She was a breast cancer survivor. And what I did was I helped her learn about philanthropy in this way, how it can go, not just that her husband is constantly writing checks in those days. And then she made a decision on her own. All I did was offer an opportunity to beautify and enhance the what's it called? The breast cancer unit when you go in for
Yes,
your mammography and all
yes,
of those things. And
yes.
she came in, talk about to better something. This third part, the deep desire, from the beginning to the end of what she did, including really getting involved and picking out lovely curtains and the things that you put on, the gowns and so on, as well as the equipment and the things that you need to make, offer better service. She saw how she herself, in this case, of course, they were quite wealthy, could better that one singular unit. And she thanked me over and over, Jim, like you, when you really get it right with a donor. I know without a doubt, we've never talked about this, how many donors have thanked you personally for the experience,
Yes,
to give to you,
yes.
right?
Yes. Well, that is a hallmark of a successful career. I stand up in front of groups, Susan. I can't say this without being moved by it, and say, people read my credentials, and I've been a party to raising billions of dollars for major institutions. But at the first opportunity, I say, but the great achievement of my career, in my estimation, is is being asked multiple times to give eulogies at donors' funerals.
Oh,
That's what tells me I did my job well. Not
right.
not billions of dollars, but to have made the experience rewarding. But what people said to me was, in working with you, Jim, I've learned something about myself. because I listened. I asked the right question. I cared. And then I said, from those values, here's how you can make a difference, right? And then when I gave the eulogies, to have the family members come up and say, okay, in my case, it was males, you captured his spirit.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh
that's
my
what
God.
philanthropy can do. It can capture the spirit and can make the meaning of one life extend well beyond that lifetime. And then contrast that, Susan, to the ghastly strategic pillars, the categories of giving. It's like, where did we lose the thread, this golden thread of philanthropy about difference making, about taking the pain, the joy, the strength, the wisdom, anything I acquired for good or for ill, and turned around and made another life better. Oh my God, people giving to people. Where did we lose the thread?
I have a lot of things to say, but one thing I want to say is that I feel um, that there are leaders listening to us, and I can feel their pain, and so can you. You've been there. You've worked with
Sure.
them the same way that they have to prove their worth, prove their value,
Yes.
raise more each year. Their board members raise more each year, do more each year, and all those things. And I
Yes.
want to say unequivocally now, like calling people in, please pay attention when you apply the constructs you've learned in this 3-part video series, you will raise more money and you will sustain these beautiful long-term loyal relationships. I want to just say the people whose family asked you to do a eulogy or someone asked you whatever, those people felt in their experience with you that they, whatever that mission was at that time you might have been working on behalf of, that they believed deeply and that they could feel the faith of the application. This doesn't mean an organization never gets anything wrong. I mean, things happen, okay, but to believe in that mission impact, and then that person in connection with you, uh, where you were literally just so moved here, felt that they belonged to something, so connected. Okay, connected to you personally, but connected to the organization through you.
Yes. Yes.
And then they felt that they were doing something. They felt that they were improving something, that they were bettering something in the world. And when it really comes down to it, it's like, what more is there than just really wanting to make an impact in the world, right?
That's it. I mean, what more is there for whatever you attain in life, whatever that is? Where will you find greater satisfaction than taking what has been given to you and sharing it with others in such a way where your time on this planet lives beyond and has a ripple effect across the realm of humanity? Where are you going to get any more joy or any more satisfaction? That's why people thank you, as you were an agent, a facilitator of something that they found immensely rewarding.
It occurs to me we could have a special video conversation just telling donor stories. Maybe we'll invite a
Yeah.
few other people and just tell donor stories, because my story with my husband is immediately recent. That's current.
Yes.
My story
Yes.
with the woman whose husband died right after retirement, that was never expected. That goes back, and you have stories that are recent and
Oh,
past. Yeah, yeah,
and
that's such a
that's what I love about being around good fundraisers is they have these stories.
yeah.
That's what they're sharing with younger generations, not I raised a ton of money, I was golden tongue. They go, oh, let me show you, let me share an instance where you will see the beauty in humanity. Even people that were far from perfect, that have rough spots, through philanthropy, found the best part of themselves.
Mm. It also speaks to me, and you addressed this in the second part of this discussion. we know millennials and even all the more Gen Zers literally want this.
Yes.
We already began to break from baby boomers to Gen Xers, certainly to millennials, from the, well, I give because my father gave, that patriarchal,
Yes.
chain that I just give because my parents always gave
That's right.
there. And we
That's right.
began to see that break. We still have some of that, but only when organizations have actually reached out to younger generations of their long-term loyal donors and invited them
Yes.
into belong to the community in their own
Yes.
right. But this
Absolutely.
construct that you're teaching, boy, does it apply today. In the second video, you talked about hope. And you talked about nonprofit leaders. The leadership that is needed today is retaining, despite extraordinary difficulty, is retaining, obtaining some kind of hope and
Yes.
hopefulness. And
Yes.
if philanthropy isn't that space, I don't really know what is, Jim.
I don't either, Susan. And I think that is the hope for all of us, is to renew philanthropy in these ways, so that philanthropy gives hope to so many causes and purposes and good intentions. But what's imperiled now is trust of organizations, is a feeling that it's all about money, is a feeling that I don't matter to them beyond what I give, right? So we've got to change the language. We've got to change the construct itself, and get past the short-term obsessions of fundraising, no matter how many knots there are in your stomach, and start to go back to, may we work with you and show you how you can believe, belong, and with us, together with us, make something better. And you and I know in the depth of our soul that that will work.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Let's just let people know where they can find you, and let's have you share one more word on this donor satisfaction survey that you have.
Thanks so much, Susan. It's been a great privilege and a pleasure. So you can contact me at jim@langleyinnovations and .com, and I'll be happy to share this survey, which we think is a tool for you to apply everything that we've shared about and allow you to create a baseline from which you can then measure progress forward. How many donors believe? How strongly do they believe? How many feel as if they belong? How strongly, et cetera, et cetera. Every year, you'll be able to measure whether you're on the right track. If you build a community of more belonging, believing, and bettering, fundraising and philanthropy naturally follows from it. If you don't, you're going to continue to struggle. If I could, Susan, I want to add one caveat. If you want to write me and ask me to give you the instrument, I won't do it. If you ask me to help you apply it, if I believe that you will use it for the right reasons, if you're willing to take just a little bit of training, then I'll be happy to share the instrument with you. But I've had too many bad experiences where something people grab it off the shelf and use it in exactly the wrong way for short-term fundraising needs or even manipulation. Let's not do that. We're too good. This field is too important. This field is too noble. Let's together find a better way of doing everything we've talked about. It's what you want in your life, to believe, belong, and better. It's why you choose the jobs. It's the hope you had for the job you took. So let's extend this to others, including our donors. And through that shared set of love and caring, we'll form better communities that will be more self-sustaining. And thank you, Susan, so much for, there's something about you that just electrifies my imagination and allows me to open up and share with other people.
Well, it's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. And I will just say the last word, which is the work of philanthropy done well is among the most human and meaningful work there is. Believe in something, belong to something, and make something better. I can't thank you enough for this, for myself and, everybody I'll use it with. And yeah, we'll do it again soon, Jim. Thank you.
Nor I you, Susan. So thank you so much.
Take good care.